What up, what up, what up? Hormetic Monks strike again. Episode 7.
Episode 7. As you can see, we're in the car.
Yeah.
Our
nice stuff back there.
I was at my siblings' house and they had people over that I wasn't expecting with kids, so
Rat bastards.
yeah. It's all good. We were gonna try to do it another place, but that didn't work out either. But consistency is more important than setting. Actually, the lighting's pretty good.
Actually, it is. Yeah.
So,
Nice cloudy day, but we're getting more light through here, so we're good.
yep.
Yeah. You look a little gay, but
the eyes make the sun makes your eyes blue.
it's like we have a beautifying
effect. Yeah, I look like I'm glowing.
Looks like you're Down syndrome trans.
Down. Oh Jesus. Anyways,
We'll skip over that.
why was that necessary?
I don't know. I just felt like saying it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we're episode 7, kicking it off, and today we're just gonna talk about life in general.
Yeah, interesting transitional period for me, at least.
Yeah.
Looking for work, kind of not struggling. I got a job opportunity already, but not quite what I'm wanting pay-wise. So still on the hunt. It's kind of fun. Not really.
They're gonna pay him $1 an hour. He's holding out for 2.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I got really high standards.
Oh yeah. But anyways, yeah. So
how was work?
that was good. It's good. It's nice to be in the weather that's not in the teens.
Yeah.
You know, it's
except for dispatcher fun.
Yeah, some dispatcher interesting events that took place. You know, with my planner, and but you know, I don't know. It happens. It happens when you're a truck driver. Logistics are always a struggle bus sometimes, and sometimes you feel like you could do better than the planner, and maybe you're wrong, maybe you're right, but I think in this case I was right. But I'm probably not going to go into it just because, you know.
Yeah.
But
don't bring down the mood.
Yeah, don't bring down the mood, and you know, I don't want to talk too much crap about my current company. I'm pretty happy there for the most part, and
well, stuff happens.
Yeah, it's just part of work. But anyways, yeah. So, but what about you? You're thinking about flight school potentially, throwing around some things.
Yeah. So originally I was thinking about doing. Well, yeah. Originally, I'm going back to my original idea. I want to do it over time because I don't want to get massively in debt. I potentially want to get an airplane in a year, like first get my private pilot's license, and then potentially get an airplane, and just over time get as many hours, and then get my ratings that I need for commercial. There's different classes of aircraft. There's turbine, there's twin engine, water, skis, all that stuff. I want to go for as many of those classes that I can get, and once you do that, supposedly you can do contracting. Not supposedly, you can do contracting. You got to do networking. You got to have I think minimum 750 hours. Have your instrument rating. All that is really expensive. I was thinking about just going to school for it, but it's like 70 to 100,000, I want to say.
Yeah.
To do it, to get your ATP license. I forget all the word. Anybody that's in the aircraft industry are like, this person doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, you're correct.
But if you are in that industry, hit them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Educate him.
I'm familiar with, I've talked to a couple people already, so I understand the the different ways to go. I just there's numbers and all that stuff for specific routes that you can go to get your there's the regular going to school for 4 years to become an airline pilot, which they want 1,500 hours. That's freaking like really expensive.
Yeah.
And then you've got the ATP, which is like a accelerated course. I don't think that you don't have 1,500 hours, I believe, when you're done, but you're rated for most of the aircraft, or like I think twin engine, single engine, and maybe turbine. I don't know it, but 70, 80 to or 80 to 100,000. I said 70 to 100,000, whatever. It's like compared to like going to school and like for a degree that is more likely not to, I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money getting out. Yeah, that's not terrible, but you know, going that far into debt is just not something I want to do. So I'm thinking about doing it the longer term. Yeah, people say if you do the longer term route where you're getting your hours and everything over a longer period of time, a couple years, instead of just 8 months or whatever.
Accelerated, yeah.
You're less likely to do it, but you know what? I'm getting that far in debt is just
not worth it.
Not worth it, especially when it's going to be a long road regardless.
Right.
Once you finish, like usually they're trying to, you're going to be a flight instructor until like 1,500 hours or something ridiculous, from what I understand. If you go to the school route, like 4-year school route,
right?
Don't want to do that. No, yeah. So
not worth it. Yeah.
It can be if you're younger,
right? If you're 18 or whatever, 21 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe mama and daddy are paying for everything. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm leaning towards, like, I want to get a year of trucking, and then potentially like a year or two of trucking, potentially do just part-time.
Yeah.
Do part-time, and then the rest of the time I'm flying, getting my ratings. So that way I'm not feeling the financial pressure. And then you're like, oh, I could imagine myself 8 months or once I'm finished, if I went to the 7-month, 8-month route, I'm like, oh crap, I need to work. And a lot of the places you're getting paid like $16-20 an hour with $100,000 worth of debt.
Right.
You're broke.
Right.
I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Go that route.
So I don't know that much about it. I know way less than you about it because I haven't really been looking into a whole lot. But what I was seeing things online that were saying, like, and maybe it's just maybe for becoming an airline pilot, but they were talking about like having a 4-year degree.
Yeah,
have you seen that?
Yeah, a lot of them want you to have a 4-year degree. They want you to have a minimum of 1,500 hours before you're flying commercial planes, which I understand. They want people with
educated.
I mean, you got a lot of people in, like, an airline, you get over 100 people on the plane.
Yeah.
They want people with a vast amount of experience.
Yeah.
1,500, but you don't need $1,500 to make money in the airline industry. That I've heard of companies hiring at like $750, but they want you to have a bunch of different ratings, commercial and instrument ratings and twin engine, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I know I'm missing some things. They want some other things, but
you don't need a 4-year degree.
No, you don't.
Is it? Could you still be an airline pilot if you wanted to, and not have?
If you got 1,500.
If you got
hours.
1,500 hours,
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And maybe you wouldn't look as good as someone that had a bachelor's and a 1,500, and that's really the only differentiator right there.
I mean, I would rather hire someone with 2,000 hour, or actually, I don't know of an example really, but I'd rather someone with
way more experience,
1,600 hours, 1,700 hours, that doesn't have a degree than someone with 1,500, which is obviously, but
right.
You would think, anyways.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, a lot of the Vietnam vets, they went into the airlines. They're the helicopter pilots and all that. They didn't have degrees.
Sure, you don't want to go into the military, the Air Force, and
no, not really. There's positives and benefits, like negatives and positives. There's a lot of positives, but for me, I would have rather have done it when I was younger. I've still thought about it. I've entertained like joining the National Guard.
Right.
Not because I'm trying to make money. It's not a big money maker, but insurance, the health insurance is pretty good. Although I hear there's a lot of issues with the VA.
Yeah,
in and of itself.
I've witnessed that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's more or less having a community. I think that's really cool. Once a month, you get to hang out with your buddies that you went through boot camp with, and you're working on some skill,
right?
And I mean, I think they'll pay for like a certain amount of college and stuff too, which is awesome.
Yeah,
up to like 60,000 in student debt. And
they'll
then
pay for.
Yeah,
that's good.
And then if you 6 years, there's certain jobs where there's $10,000 to $15,000 bonuses for certain jobs.
Nice.
I think there was one like a cook. You're working the mess hall, which honestly does not appeal to me. But hey, 15 grand, you learn how to cook, and it's structure, discipline.
Yeah.
The only flip, it can teach that, but they really brainwash you into doing exactly what we were told, which is decent. But then when you get out of the military, a lot of people have issues with that,
thinking on their own.
Yeah, especially people that are in the Army, Navy, all that. They get back and they need a new mission, and a lot of them, especially if they have PTSD and all that, it's not. It can
be tough.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, I think not a lot of people get to be able to, everybody's on the ground, and so it's like a select few people get to actually fly around in the sky, and that's a perspective that not a lot of people get to see, and having that be your office window, looking out in the morning, that's definitely very cool. Yeah, and so many opportunities to fly all kinds of different aircraft, and I think you could. I remember my old brother did a trip out to the Yukon, and I know that they had to fly in food and stuff like that. So, and I think sometimes I think they did it with helicopter, but they also did it with whatever, I don't know, what do you call it, the water planes?
Yeah.
What do they call it? Skis? Is it skis or?
Skis is for the snow.
Yeah.
Pontoon. Now I'm drawing blank.
Floaties. Double floaties.
Water landings.
Yeah, water landings.
They're pretty much pontoons. I believe they're just smaller than like a pontoon boat.
Right, they're like the structure on the bottom that keeps the pontoon buoyant, but it's on the bottom of the airplane.
But actually, talking about military stuff, last night I just learned they actually lowered. You don't have to have a GED or have finished high school now to join the military. Ooh. It's a new thing because recruiting is all low, like record lows. And this one dude, he was on X. He's just kind of dramatizing it, but I don't know, he's like, "We're going to war." Like if they're like taking away all these standards, and I believe they lowered the IQ level. And even if you don't pass it, I guess there's like an absurd amount of people right now not passing the ASVAB, like getting really low scores, which is very concerning because it's not even school based. A lot of it's just like general knowledge. I mean, it does have school based stuff, but anyways.
Because you took the ASVAB?
ASVAB, yep. I took it twice.
You took it twice?
Yeah.
And that is, where did you take it at?
I took it one in Tennessee.
Okay.
There's a recruiter in Chattanooga, and then the other one I took it in Knoxville the second time.
Okay.
At MEPS.
Okay.
So
interesting. And what kind of questions do they ask? Like just like generalized like questions?
So they've got some algebra. They've got like mechanical stuff. Like they'll have a GIF pretty much of like an action, and then you're like naming what it's doing. Like they've got multiple choice, and then they've got like squares and triangles and stuff, and you match it up in different places. What else do they have? Reading comprehension.
Right, English writing maybe?
No, you don't write anything.
No,
I don't think.
Okay.
And a couple other things. But I was surprised. I didn't do very good in school, but I actually scored pretty high in both times. Not like crazy high.
Yeah.
but I scored pretty decent,
high.
which I was super proud of at the time.
Do you know what the top end of the score is?
No, probably a good thing to look up.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look it up right now.
I scored higher the second time.
Okay.
But I remember this one. And basically, the ASVAB, you do want to study if you are interested in the military. If the second time I got a higher score, I procrastinated and didn't study till that night, and I crammed and just went over a bunch of information, and I actually scored pretty good. And they're like, you can get pretty much any job that you want. I think I was going through civil. I think I was doing or engineer. Something to do with heavy equipment, like the engineer corps or something like that, National Guard.
Okay. Yeah, so it says 99 is the highest score you can get.
I think I was in the 73, 80, I don't know.
Somewhere around there. Okay.
I can't remember.
It says minimum is 31.
Okay. Yeah, and they're, like, now they've got it to where if you fail, or you get low, they'll actually put you in a program to study and educate you so you can pass it.
That's a little
sketchy. They're
sketchy.
Desperate now. They're desperate because it's.
Well, I feel like patriotism is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I don't know how people fix that, because I feel like there was some sort of, you know, like a long time ago when knowledge wasn't as accessible and you couldn't read things. You could read things about other countries, but it was predominantly pushed through. The information was pushed through the papers, and so you were limited to whatever you would read in the papers. The papers in your own home country, I think, tended to be more nationalistic and pro your country, and now I feel like that there's so much broad information everywhere. It's like, well, why do I want to sign up to fight for my home team, quote unquote, when it's a country and like they're no different than us? You know what I'm saying? I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Well, also, like, the appreciation for this experiment, which is the United States, the first time it's really been done where the people vote. It seems normal to us, but this is a rare, it's an exception in history.
Right.
And
dictatorships were popular.
Yeah. Well, it's like, are you crazy? Letting the people vote who's in office, you know?
Right.
Like, that was not how it was done. And basically the reason, like, the nationalistic pride of being an American, the specialness of it has kind of been just taken out.
Tainted.
Yeah, a lot of it in a way. At least it's and I believe it's purposely done because the United States is very powerful, and so the way to defeat the United States is to work within.
It's the ideology.
Yeah, start with the schools, work your way up. That's, if you look in history, like, get into the universities, change the way of thinking, and then you defeat the country that way. And that's exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And it's get ideologies to run rampant, sounds good, feel good, moral justice, all that stuff. You feel good thinking you're doing good, but in reality you're not. And that's happened many times in history. And I'm guilty of the same thing with the whole climate change. I would try to make people feel guilty because of, not to an extreme or anything, just like, this is bad and all that. And if only everyone cared and did this certain thing, then things would be better. Reality, you're not going to get people to do stuff. Unless it's the person, the group is willing to do it, and there's a general purpose to get, like, we're all in it together. We're one goal. That's very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
And the only way I see to help the climate is like the practical ways, new technologies, and not one way of thinking. Like I said before, like the third world countries, give them access to power, like like use coal, use natural gas, use all that stuff, so these civilizations can get out of poverty and come up to this level, and then once they are up to that level, then they'll actually be able to care instead of where's my next meal coming from, stuff like that.
Right.
Not, oh, we need to just start banning everything. It doesn't work. It doesn't ever work in history. It does, but not the way you want it to.
Right, it goes opposite.
Your quality of life is just going to go lower.
Yeah.
There's no one solution fix. Never happens. That's just like there's never a complete. I mean, there's typically yes, there are some absolute truths, but there are very few of them, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like I know we've talked about this before. I'm not sure on camera, but like, yeah, once you get people out of poverty, they naturally start caring about their environment. But if you're in poverty, why would you care about your environment? You're just struggling to survive.
Yeah. Incentives too.
Yeah, you got to align incentives in the proper way.
Yeah.
Like
they're like, we should ban Bitcoin because Bitcoin, like some of these mining companies are draining more electricity than some towns put together.
Right.
And well, no, because electricity is expensive, so it incentivizes innovation because they're making a lot of money, but they don't want to lose all this money to by expenses by using power. So they're they've gotten creative. They'll go to like there's this, I forget where it's at, but it's somewhere where it's like it's super cold, and like they've got a mining data center like where they've got outside air coming in to cool all the processor or computers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That is cool. Well, I know what's the I'm drawing a blank on it, but it's not Venezuela. I don't know why that pops in, but there's that country that switched over to Bitcoin as being their primary currency. Anyways,
I haven't heard about that in a while. It might have been Venezuela.
It sounded in my mind.
I thought there was two.
There probably is a couple. I'm gonna look this up, but they basically used the energy of the volcano that they had there. And
thermal.
Yeah, they use the thermal.
Geothermal.
The heat that's naturally occurring.
Yeah.
It from the volcano. They would use that, and I don't know how, but they turned that into basically electricity for the processors. And see, and that's sustainable
electricity
forever.
For the
it's sustainable forever.
Yeah, geothermal is a big. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that.
But it was all over the news for a while, and then all of a sudden, El Salvador. That's where it was.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. It's not Venezuela. Well, Venezuelans, they when their currency was taking a really massive crash a couple of years ago, people were frantically buying cryptocurrencies, and you saw a spike in a lot of random tokens and stuff like that.
Yep.
Which honestly, that's why I'm like pro crypto, because as long as it's unregulated, as far as I know, Bitcoin is the only really secure. I mean, it's slow.
Yeah.
I did a transaction. Ethereum's like super quick, but it's not decentralized. Bitcoin is like wealth storation, in my opinion. It's not a very practical thing. Just like gold is hard to carry around.
Yeah.
It's heavy. Bitcoin is a bit slow, but from what my understanding, no one has control over that. And I listened to a podcast. They're like, with how big Bitcoin has gotten, it's the most valuable one. Out of history, when something is that successful, usually there's always someone, like, people can't help themselves and they're just going to get more involved with it. It's like your project. But the programming or whatever, like the way Bitcoin was set up, I believe like it's set up to where it's not hackable, and you throw away the key, and you don't have any ability unless you were the person that built it or something like that. And from my understanding, people think that whoever Satoshi Nakamoto, it was either they probably like died or something. I don't know, or like, or doesn't have access to it themselves. They create it. Interesting how it started right, I think it was 2009 or 2008, 2009.
I think it was 2008, 2007, something like that.
Like, that's when it really, right after that economic crash, it was very planned out. So, maybe.
2009, you're right.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. So,
Yeah.
2009. Yeah, another thing, though, that I thought was interesting is, like, there's, have you heard of I just looked it up just to confirm, but it's called Strike. It's a second layer. It sits on top of Bitcoin, and it basically allows for faster transactions. And I don't understand how it integrates completely to Bitcoin. It's not secure the way Bitcoin is secure, but it allows you to speed up transactions for smaller transactions. So, like, if you're sending $20 to a merchant, you don't really need it to be secure.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't need to be that secure. If it's hacked every once in a while for lower level transactions, say sub $1,000, it's not the end of the world, right? It's just you don't want the whole network to be hacked. And Bitcoin can't be hacked as far as I know, but
until supercomputers, I guess. But
right, but we're a ways out from that as far as I know. Anyway, but the CEO of Strike, Jack Mallers, he's really I think done a big service to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community by, like, pushing out this second layer that allows sub $1,000 or whatever to be. I mean, you can do higher transaction levels too, but it's risk versus reward.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with that at all.
Yeah, it's
more
cool.
familiar with, like, Ethereum. I like Vitalik Buterin.
Yeah, Vitalik Buterin, he's a beast.
Ethereum is fast.
He talks weird, but
yeah, I mean,
but he's a genius.
Yeah, I like Ethereum. Like, I was into like Stellar Lumens.
Yeah, I had some of those too.
A lot of different ones, but like really
Monero.
Yeah, really, I'm not gonna invest in any of those. Like, maybe Dogecoin, only because it's related to Elon Musk. I know
it's a
people are gonna be like, he's a cult follower.
Well, the thing that gets me about Dogecoin is, like, there's no limit on how much Doge they can create. That gets me every time.
Yeah, I'm not big into it. The only reason why I would have a small bag is just for kicks and giggles, and like, if it goes up, great. If it doesn't, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's an easy. The trap that people fall into, just like the whole GameStop thing, which I got into, and I was like, oh, I'm happy with the amount of money I made, and they're like, hold the line,
yeah.
like the whole Reddit thing, and I'm like, screw it, I'm part of this thing, and like, I ended up not making any money on it, but I could have made, like, doubled it, but my instincts were like, I'm gonna just go with this and like let it ride, get cash out, don't be greedy, and then just send it. But it's really hard to do that,
right? And that wasn't even, like, really, like, I think that wasn't, like, the whole point of the GameStop thing. And I didn't get involved, but
FU to the hedge funds.
Yeah, it was an FU to the hedge funds.
Then people were nostalgic about GameStop.
I love it. I love it. Anytime the regular blue collar worker can F over a hedge fund, I say, let's go us. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mark Cuban's like, yeah, you go, guys.
Yeah, he wouldn't be saying that if it was him, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's anyway. But.
Yeah, and it showed that they were not doing things legally on Robinhood too. They were. I don't know all.
Yeah, they basically stopped the transactions to help out the hedge funds.
Yeah, which is illegal.
They stopped that. They halted. I mean,
I think they lost a bunch of lawsuits. I could be wrong.
I hope they did. I
actually, don't quote me on that.
I didn't follow the story a whole lot, but I do think, though, that, like, I won't use Robinhood. I won't use Robinhood.
Yeah.
What'd you give me that look for? You use Robinhood?
I'm not. Well, I'm currently not doing really any investments at this point because whatever. But it's the reason why is because it is easy to use, and it's kind of hypocritical. People, but I've used other exchanges. They're harder to use.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a problem with that. Yeah, that's a major thing, and people aren't using it because of that.
Yeah, I've used Webull and Robinhood, but I honestly
if you don't know what you're doing, Robinhood is the easiest from my experience.
Yeah, Webull's not not. It's pretty intuitive too. Webull. I don't know if you've ever used Webull.
Yeah, I have Webull, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Any company that holds the transactions to help their rich buddies.
Yeah,
it's like the
messed up.
opposite. It's the
messed up.
antithesis and anti what their whole company is supposed to be about.
Robin Hood. What is that supposed to stand for?
Right.
Yeah.
Rob from the rich, gives to the poor.
And then they do the
It's
opposite.
rob from the
It's
poor and
messed
give to
up.
the rich.
Yeah.
It's messed up. I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
those kind of people. And this is the other thing too. You're kind of getting me started on this. This is the other thing too. Is like Robin Hood. They're like, oh, no fees, whatever. But it's the slippage is where they make their money. So like basically, yeah, they don't charge you really any trading fees, but what they'll do is they'll charge you like they'll be like, okay, so like whatever it is, Tesla stock, right? Tesla stock trading at whatever $700. I don't know what it is recently. I haven't paid attention, but let's say it's $700. They'll charge you $700.20, and then when you sell it, you want to sell for $700, and they'll sell for $690, and then they'll pocket the difference, and that's how they get their transaction fees. And then they say it's free trading. It's like, fuck you. That's just a marketing scheme.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought it was. So you got to put place orders. So you're not going to sell unless you sell it at this set price.
Limit orders.
Yeah.
Limit orders, yes. But they're still taking slight slippage fees through slight little, because there's always going to be
skimming off the top.
They're skimming off the top, and especially if you're going to just go through and place market order, which you don't ever want to do, really. I mean, there's situations, but. But most time people are placing market orders when they don't really have a clear defined entry or exit. They're just like, I gotta get in, it's going up. I gotta get out, it's going down.
Pretty much, obviously I'm not a financial
wizard.
I'm not licensed to give financial advice, but
he's not a fiduciary, guys.
I'm not like this is my experience. Like day trading, unless you're really that's your full-time job. I've heard a good day trader wins 51% of the time.
Right.
And like most people do not win.
Right. Well, it's
long-term investments from my experience, like Warren Buffett and all that. Not from my experience. From my the way, if I plan on doing like Tony Robbins method, where you're not just investing in the stock market. You have part ownerships of like sports teams and stuff like that. Things that are anti-fragile, that don't go up or down with the market.
Yeah.
See, you got a portfolio that is spread across different areas to where your whole portfolio doesn't go down, and you're using like really smart investors and stuff like that.
Well, a good reference point is Ryan Reynolds. Have you seen what he's done? So I think it's a soccer team. It's in a smaller kind of third world country, but he got a stake in the equity of the soccer team. I forget the name. I apologize, but he basically used his celebrity power and his marketing ability to then basically propel them to where they're he's marketing for them. He has an equity stake. It blows their team up.
Yeah,
they get better management in. It's it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways, but I get it.
It's cool. I mean,
it's cool.
Instead of going with the big name plays, just use help the a bunch of people that would never become financially successful and do something like that. That's cool.
Right. And then the other thing he did was you heard of Mint Mobile?
Yeah, I've seen his.
Yeah, so he did the same thing with Mint Mobile. He took an equity position, then he used his celebrity power, his marketing ability to go out and push commercials. It punched up the valuation of the company, and then he sold it to T-Mobile. And now T-Mobile owns Mint Mobile, and he had like $1 billion exit.
That's crazy. Yeah, funny.
And he has a I think a vodka brand. It's gin. Sorry, Aviation. He has an aviation liquor brand for gin, or it's gin, and he sells that. And you see a lot of these celebrities, they do like
they'll do a lot of that stuff.
Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he has Terramana. I think it's Terramana. He has, and that's also a liquor, and he's pushing that. All these celebrities are getting liquors and promoting them because they realize the celebrity power that they have in marketing. So they take up that position, and then they just take a normal everyday product and they push it out, and they make tons and tons of money.
I did want to go back to the investing thing. Yeah, they do a lot of that stuff. But this is new. I think it just happened last year. I could be wrong. But you know how you have to be like a accredited investor to invest in basically have access to what accredited investors can do, which is like you have to be worth $1 million or something like that or more to be an accredited investor. They just passed a law where you can take a test now and become an accredited investor and then invest in some of these other more high interest, high risk. Like some of them are risky, but you just do your due diligence. Like you look for the best investors in the world. There's like a couple of them. They are hedge funds, but what they're doing, from what I'm understanding, is they'll find like different stocks and everything. They're not just being like, I'm betting that this company's going to do well. They actually have their own teams and everything that say, hey, we like your stock. We think that there's a lot of room to grow, but we are going to come in and we're going to boost the valuation of your stock, this company, make it a better company. They've got experienced business people that come in and just transform it in the stock market, like the stocks go
Blows
up.
up. Yeah.
They've got an amazing track record. I think that in 2008, when this whole stock market was crashing, it was 2008.
Yeah, 2008.
That was housing and the stock market.
Yeah, the Great Recession.
They got I forget which one it was, but they were like the only hedge fund that actually was going up in evaluation. They made their people profits. Like
what company is it?
It's a hedge fund. I listened to Tony Robbins, Tucker Carlson, Tony Robbins
podcast.
It was on.
It was
X.
recent, right?
Very. I listened to it last week, I believe. It was very good. Out of anything that I've heard, I think that his route is the most solid, besides like Warren Buffett and stuff like that. But Warren Buffett, I think. Well, I mean, he's a hedge fund manager too, right? Or no, he's an investor. He
owns Berkshire and Hathaway.
Yeah,
and they basically use that as basically it's its own company.
It's an investment,
but also they use it to buy out other like Coca-Cola and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, Tony Robbins spent a couple years. I listened to him. He's years ago, before when he was in the process of this, and he actually did it. He's like, I'm going to use my connections to go to the best investors in the world, and he did, and he interviewed them all, and figured out what they were doing. And at the time, you couldn't invest like they're investing. You had to be accredited investors. But now, the way that the hedge funds are doing it is they're making it available to everybody, and it's passing legislation. You can do it now. You just have to pass the test. This is remarkable. This is like one of the, if you're not a person that wants to get into business, not do anything, become an owner. Like, become an owner. Don't be the don't own an iPhone. Like, don't just own an iPhone. Own a part of that company. That is where the true power comes from.
Yep.
The way that they do this, I'm not gonna over the time. There's having money in the stock market. From what I understand, you can retire off of if you're consistent. But with this, it's like, I want to say it's
similar to angel
5
investing
to 10
almost?
times. No, angel investing is when you have a brand new company and you're a accredited investor and you're taking on all the risk, and you're pretty much like a lot like Apple does and Google do it. Or Google, I'll use Google as an example. They'll invest in 20 different companies and only expect one to succeed.
Right.
So
you're basically the capital and advisor typically to a company as an angel investor.
This is more like
So maybe somewhere in between that and just investing on the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, probably. We'll have to go into it more later at some point.
I'll give an example.
Okay.
What's the name? This tiny home company, which is it turns out it's not profitable. It's not Boxable.
Oh,
this was a big
Boxable.
one.
Yep.
But I'm not from what I understand, it's not good.
You don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it. I think it potentially is coming out to be fraud or scam or something like that, where the quality of the buildings are just not good. Because I was very interested in it. It's a very cool concept, but it's way, I guess it costs too much to build the homes. They're not good business people, and the same thing happens. And you remember this if you ever are interested in a company, look at who is running the company. If the person doesn't have a track record or history, just like if you apply to a job, they check your resume, see if you have relevant qualifications.
Right.
Same thing applies to when you're looking at businesses. If they don't have a good track record, you probably don't want to invest in that company.
Yep.
But so Boxable is a good example. But here, of what not to do. But so what he's saying is you can own sports teams. That's where you were
you're owning an equity position.
Right. And that was only available for very rich people, from what my understanding.
Right.
What Tony Robbins was
Small
saying.
slivers of the
Yes.
of those.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to go into this a little bit later. I actually just got a message that I have to go. I have to wrap this up, but
Okay.
but yeah, we'll go into this a little bit further. Sorry to cut this one short. But we'll have to explore that later. Maybe we'll do a little bit more research on it, because it seems like a little bit similar to investing in the stock, because a stock is just a portion of the equity of a company.
Yeah.
But this is more maybe it's just organized a little bit slightly differently.
It's a stock market, and then you're owning a portion of a company, but it's not directly related to
the stock market.
The stock market. It's off the stock market, I believe.
Private companies, maybe you're able to invest in private companies and own a share of
Private
the equity
or something. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe that's the term. But yeah, I also want to say before we close this up, is so I'm gonna try to do this. This is my goal. I've had it in my mind before, but I want to dedicate myself to this. So this example that I love Tony Robbins tell is this guy he worked at McDonald's and became a millionaire when he retired.
Yeah.
And his buddy told him, hey, what I'm gonna do is you're gonna put a tax on yourself. I think a 20% tax or something like that,
right,
off of your income, and you're gonna have to adjust to it. You don't have this money, and it's going into investments. This is where this is going. And he retired multi-millionaire
on a very, very, very low kind of shoestring income.
And the younger you are,
the better.
But you want to start young. 20s, I forget the math. Just listen to Tony Robbins. It's awesome. I love Tony Robbins. I think he's an amazing person, and he walks the walk. He's already at 1 billion people that he's fed.
Yeah,
1 billion people, his organization, and his next goal is 100 billion.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think.
And his book, Money Master the Game, that's a really, really good book. So check it out, people.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week. It'll be a little bit longer. We're working on maybe a little bit more structure. So we'll see you guys next week. And until then, peace.
Peace out. Have a good one.
All right, later.